So, TannyRaw, what can I say? I mean, she has been so influential to so many of us through YouTube that wanted to have a healthier lifestyle, a better diet, and specifically a raw vegan diet. She, for me, helped me see what it could physically look like because we're around the same age group and we're both women. She helped me to see outwardly what could be possible for me. And for that, this particular video is about giving her her flowers and her appreciation. So this video is Flowers for TannyRaw. Welcome back to Raw Vegan Food Diet. If this is your first time here, we talk about all things optimal health, mainly through the raw vegan food diet. So if you'd like to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notifications. And if you enjoy this video, please comment, like, and share this with someone that you think can use this information. Now back to the video. So I watched TannyRaw for many years, and I was suffering a lot in my body and sometimes with my mental as well, trying to go raw vegan. Now, I knew that raw vegan, before seeing her videos, I knew that raw vegan is something that I really felt called to be and a diet that I really felt like I should practice. But coming from an omnivore diet where I allowed myself to eat meat, dairy, cooked carbs, and all sorts of things, at the time, I really didn't see how I could make that leap. Now, Tanya, I believe her name is, on the channel TannyRaw, she was actually a great model of what a raw vegan dieter can achieve. Now, I believe she was overweight at one point, and a lot of things that people notice about her is actually her eye color. And I believe she was one of the first people to talk about that her eye color actually changed when she went raw vegan. I thought that was pretty cool, because if your eye color can change just by eating raw fruits and vegetables, majority of your diet, then maybe the eyesight can change, you know? These are some like deep healing things that I didn't even think about. And I won't say your eyes going from dark green to dark brown to blue happens for everyone, or that's not good if that's your color. But when I mean deep healing, because there's nothing wrong with brown eyes. I have brown eyes since birth, you know. So, but I do believe if something so seemingly so inherently unchangeable, at least with my mind, so unchangeable that it actually can be changed that drastically. Now, I know a lot of us have probably known someone or have hazel eyes, and people say that maybe with more sun or, you know, different things happen where their eyes kind of get darker. Maybe they grow up, their eyes get a little darker as they grow up. Maybe they were like bright hazel and then they darken, or whatever the case is. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a brown eye or a dark amber type of eye, okay, brownish, reddish, or even a dark green eye turning over to like a clear, kind of like a sea or aquatic blue eye by nature. Now, I've never heard of anything like that before until I started watching people's testimonials on a raw vegan food diet. So what did that color change actually teach me? If that seemed drastic to me, then I just kind of plugged it into other things. If it can do that type of deep programming, which I thought it was DNA, and at the time I felt like, how can you even affect DNA? I didn't even realize you can affect DNA, whatever is genetic, like that deeply. I didn't know that you can affect even hair texture, that hair texture can change. Skin texture, I didn't even believe then that skin texture can change drastically. I thought maybe you can heal some pimples, but I really didn't even think that can happen. And that happened for me. Like, I feel like I had one type of skin texture, and then all of a sudden, now I have like this baby soft, smooth skin texture that as I continue to eat raw, it keeps getting softer and smoother. So that actually happened to me with my hair as well. I felt like my hair texture is one way, and I don't know, it feels natural to me that my hair texture is actually this way now. It feels more of a looser curl. Maybe that's how my hair was when I was little and I just don't remember. But a lot of us, if we're honest, we can remember back in the days, the pictures that we see in our baby pictures, that our hair curl pattern or lack thereof looks a lot softer or smoother or rougher, whatever the case is, but it looks a lot different than it is when we're an adult. Now, is that hereditary or is that diet? I never really heard anyone talk about changing their hair texture through a diet. So I said all that to say, if something so unexpected that I thought could happen through diet, something just clicked in my head where I just believed maybe you can actually heal your eyesight as well. And then I've went on after that thought to see that many of people have actually said something like that. I believe another video that I did with 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗪, she actually on her channel talked about, I believe, reducing her eyesight after getting it checked at the optometrist, that it was a little less medicine that she needed to actually fill her prescription for eyeglasses. So you can go check that out if you need more proof in that area. But anyway, yeah, so that really inspired me because that seemed really freaky. And a lot of people are interested in that too. Like, wow, like a brown eye to blue? Wow. So that's deep. So that's one on the surface thing that inspired me to listen to her channel more. And the next thing that inspired me was the famous phrase, if you've watched any of her videos, that's not my food. Now, why is that so important? Because when you're around people that are not raw vegan, which is probably more times than not, it can be a little bit of a social pull. Maybe you can compare yourself or want to conform a little bit because you're feeling the love, you're feeling the joy and all of that, and it includes food. But it's not your food, right? So even though people may be offering with love, or like, oh, take a shot, whatever the case. No, I learned that it's okay to say no through her. And at the time, when I first saw her, I'm like, man, she's so disciplined. And it seemed like, in comparison, I don't even know if I can get there. A lot of us have these thoughts when we're going into something new. And the ego of the mind is telling us, man, it's going to be uphill. It's going to be this and that. And it was, but now looking back, it didn't have to be. If I would just do the self-talk properly, talk about that in another video. But if I just was willing to believe and did a little bit of the inner work, rather than being so intimidated by the actual situations and the scenes and the people, that learning from TannyRaw's testimony that they don't even really care. They may seem like they care, like, oh, you're not eating, but it's like they will soon forget that you're not participating in certain things. Now, if you don't show up to the functions, maybe that's a little different, right? But you're showing up to the functions and it's like all they care about is your mouth, what you're eating, and if you're accepting their special type of pie. Like, I don't think so. And if they are, like, they need to get a little bit of a life, a little bit outside of what you're putting in your body. As long as you're not reflecting anything that looks like crazy to them, like, oh, wow, like, you're losing like 80 pounds, like, what's going on? Then that's different. But just as far as like, oh, you got greens on those plate and, why don't you put some ham hocks or whatever? It's like, why are you that concerned? I'm healthy. I'm your friend or your loved one. Let's merriment together or whatever. Let's enjoy the space in the event. Mind your business, So not just for others to mind their business, but specifically for the raw vegan person, you would want to mind your business. And that's what she conveys in her messaging so clearly. So that really helped me, like, boss up against these thoughts in these situations and be okay with sitting in a room with even just sitting in a room with non-vegans and seemingly in your mind just throwing salami back and forth past the table or whatever while you're there with the idea of some dead ass salad or some fruit smoothie or whatever. Like, not putting shame on it, you know, and not feeling guilty and not feeling like you have to explain yourself. She talks about that, and that made me realize that it's okay to boss up in that type of way and just be like, I'm good. Even if you're drinking water, I'm good. You don't have to judge anyone else, and specifically. And you don't leave any room for yourself to be judged, mean it in conversation, because people could think what they want to think all they want when they're looking at you. But if you start speaking up and you start coming down on me, like, you know, you should be doing this, and are you getting your nutrients? Like, now we're gonna have a clear talk. We're gonna have a clear meeting. But also, it's up to the individual whether you explain yourself or not. You may not want to explain yourself, and yeah, you don't have to. That's what I realized. You don't have to. People can love you where you are, and you can love them where they are, right? So they're eating something you don't think is healthy. Maybe you even feel like you're looking at death, you know? It depends on how deep your mindset is when it comes to veganism, right? And you really don't want to be around it, right? But if you're at that point where you can be around it, at least know there are levels. You can communicate with people that you know and love and trust and say, hey, you mind putting this somewhere else or whatever the case is, and that's fine. But ultimately, when you're in situations where you feel like you can't control, it's up to you. You could even just be walking by a restaurant and just smelling the wafting of cooked foods and cooked meats and, you know, and briskets and everything like that, coming through the walls or coming through the vents, wafting into the street as you're walking by. Now, what are you going to do about that? You know, are you going to go in there or just burn the place down? I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's like you would be helping yourself if you learned how to just say no, just line yourself up ahead of time with where you prefer to be. Do your best to control your environment if you can, but the most important thing is to control yourself. Be happy with yourself, be happy with your choices, your food choices, your lifestyle choices. And then if someone truly, and you think they truly want to know what your diet and what your lifestyle is about, then you can share it. But other than that, it's not up for debate. It's not open for table debate. Just shut that shit down. Just be good. You know, I'm drinking water. I'll get something later. Whatever, you know. It's nobody's business, ultimately. And the next tip that she taught me, which was very, very, very helpful and detrimental to my 80-10-10 journey, which is stretch the fat. Now, if you've seen any of her videos where she does her recipes, she shows a lot of recipes on how to, how can I define stretch the fat? Like, say you have an avocado. And if you have like a whole avocado in your raw vegan meal, that is not going to equate to 80-10-10, which is 80% carb macro a day, 10% protein macro a day, and fats macro a day. It more than likely, depending on how much calories you have and depending on how much you eat of the raw foods, it's going to be imbalanced, because a lot of raw fruits and vegetables, say for nuts and seeds, things like avocados, fatty fruits, it's really not that calorie dense, and a lot of it is filled with water. So if you put something in your diet like a whole avocado every day, or even two, some people, heavy on the guac with the salads, it is not going to be 80-10-10. So how do you solve that? So maybe she would cut the avocado in half, or cut the avocado into a quarter, blend up some zucchini or something like that, or some tomatoes or something like that as a sauce or as a dressing, as a lot of people will say, for your salad, and then that would be the salad dressing. So stretching the fats. That was really awesome, and it takes some getting used to. Don't think you're just gonna go from, sometimes, don't think you're just gonna go from eating like whole avocados and guac to like a quarter avocado or something and mixed up in a mango dressing, and that you're gonna be like, you know, that's so satiating and heavy feeling. No, it's not gonna feel heavy. it's going to feel light. So if you want to kind of transition to that like high fat lifestyle, to an 80-10-10 lifestyle, you might want to just kind of wean yourself off slowly, you know, because that fat mouthfeel, and even with nuts and seeds, you know, that mouthfeel and also that body heaviness that a high fat diet gives you, even raw vegan, you may miss it, you know, or you may feel like, wow, I'm just eating lettuce. Like you may feel like you eat an air at first. That all changes over time. You know, you actually get not just familiar with the feeling of feeling light, but it actually makes you feel good and you feel like you have more energy. But until that time, you want to stretch the fat, but I would say wean off of the fat. And that includes heavy oils as well, if you use oils for your meals as well. So that is the main contributions that I could feel, that I could share right now, that TannyRaw has given us. And I would just like to say, I haven't seen her post in a little while on her YouTube. I think she still posts on her Instagram. I haven't checked, but I just want to say thank you. And I want to bring it to you guys' attention that there are a lot of great videos and resources out there for you, that you don't have to suffer alone. And there are a lot of people that are just beginning raw vegan diets, but there are a lot of people that have been doing this for decades. And she is one of them. And for that reason, for her sharing her experience so publicly and kindly for all of us, I like to say thank you, TannyRaw, and I hope you're doing well, and I hope you keep going. And for all of you people watching this video, I hope that you see the value in this and you feel inspired to claim your optimal health journey. And hopefully that includes a raw vegan food diet. It has really transformed my life, and it still is. And if you'd like to share your stories, please comment below, and please share this video with someone who you think will respect and appreciate this information as value. So I love you guys, and I will be back with another great video, and have a good one. Until then.